Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Anybody really should tell Adam. See you at the garage. Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Anybody really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.
Back from over a month away from points-paying racing, the Major Series has gone worldwide for round 7, sending classic early aughts Indy cars to Motegi, then Sonoma, and now Miami. The Americas region makes their way to South Florida tonight to add another chapter to this thrilling epic that has been the 2025 Major Series. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Homestead, Florida. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Murtis alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the 2025 Majors Series. Today's coverage from Miami is brought to you by the Majors Series, by the Majors Garage, and by Whiplash Sim Cams. And Zach, we're going to go right on past the formalities of the track map and everything else for now. We'll circle back around to that here in a few moments, but you can see the time is rolling in across the very top of the screen. Everybody is trying to go as fast as possible. We had a technical glitch while we were setting up the broadcast, while we were getting ready to go live, and that held us up for just a moment, so we're introing here into qualifying. Christian Challoner, though, picking up right where he left off after winning the Speedway 500 a couple of months ago. He is fastest so far in this qualifying session, and there he goes, even faster at 25.509. Watching Christian Challoner work around turns 3 and 4 here on his 4th lap. These drivers do get 4 full laps of qualifying time. Challoner across the stripe, a little bit slower there. Lap number 4. Brian Bennett pulls down into the pit lane. Bryce Roberts is out there in car 21. Shane Vickery on the racetrack here, still trying to run a time. And the Klein Tools number 99 works down the back straightaway here. Zach, this is a car that I know you know and love pretty well. These drivers have some adjustments they can make. How important is that going to be, maybe cranking the weight jacker around each end of this racetrack during this qualifying session?
Oh, it's going to be mega important, especially when it comes time for racing. So they're in clean air right now. There's nothing really that's hindering them in any way, shape, or form, other than, well, I guess the air. And the big thing with these cars is that the weight jacker helps with the aero when you're in traffic. So the fact that they're not in traffic right now, it may not have the huge effect that we might see later on when it comes time for racing, but they probably know something that I don't. I don't race these cars as often as down goes to the top of the board. 25.56. Well, 50.506.
We're riding on board here with Nathan Dowd, points leader going into tonight's race. Nice and smooth through 3 and 4. That is a surprising lap out of Dowd to be that 3/1000ths of a second better. And then, wow, smashes another big lap time. So consistent. 4/1000ths of a second apart there. And he just caught some clouds, Zach. Could he go faster here this last lap of his qualifying run?
He just might.
This is lap 4 for Nathan Dowd.
Going into
wow, Wagner
goes top of the board.
By a lot.
See if Dowd can respond.
He can't.
Oh, just misses out.
And that was lap 2 for Matt Wagner. Here's his 3rd lap of 4. And he's going to bring it right down the pit lane. I believe it is the fastest of 4 laps, but you do get 4 laps. So Wagner is safe in doing that. But he will pull right down off the racetrack, feeling satisfied with his 25.493. Here's Eric Staropoli. No relation that I know of to the NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, Patrick Staropoli, but certainly a good name there. Staropoli down across the line here for lap number 2 of his run. And that was a 5.28. That's a top 10 lap time there from Staropoli.
See if he can't make it a little bit faster on this lap. He's not too far off from the pole, but just look at how close the pole time is compared to the top 10. I mean, the spread is only about 4/100ths of a second exactly. No, yes, 4/100ths. I did math correctly. As he comes back across the line, slower on that lap as well, so not going to set a pole lap there. Looks like he might shut it down here. On board with the 41 of Holland.
Wesley Holland, car 41, the Sinclair, number 41. Beautiful paint scheme on that Dallara IR05. Well, we don't have a car graphic necessarily, you know, a car spotlight. Maybe that's something we should work on for the future. We can tell you this Dallara IR05 is about as classic as you're going to get aside from the Lotus 79 in terms of IndyCar racing on the iRacing.com sim. Holland a 25.841, so a little bit off the mark. But let's go through some of the specifications here of this Dallara IR05 because it's not quite like the IndyCars that you might have seen at Toronto earlier today. It's definitely older, a couple of generations older. I'm trying to find the actual, here we go. So the wheelbase is 120 inches, about 1,500 pounds to the race car. But more importantly, it's a 3.5 liter dual overhead cam V8. So about 213 cubic inches. These cars can still top out around 240 miles per hour because they've got that 650 horsepower to them, about 485 kilowatts, and they do have a 22-gallon fuel capacity as French will come down to a stop here in turn one with those Firestone Firehawks locking up. Wagner, by the way, is in some extra laps here. Might actually try to go for a faster lap time. Might have seen something he liked in the weather conditions, so he will put all 650 horsepower to use. It is still a 6-speed gearbox with paddle shifters, so it's relatively... I'm trying to think of how to explain this, but like I guess the driving experience is relatively the same to what you see in today's Dallara IR18, but it's a more simplified version. Just looking at the two different cars, this car has a little bit less aero put into it. It's still super aero dependent, but the wings are smaller. They don't do quite as much as today's modern Indy cars, and this is kind of in between, bridging the gap between today's cars and the ground effect cars of old. So there's some technology going on right in between the two. Of course, naturally aspirated versus turboed. Just a lot to take in as far as the actual specifications of these Dallara IR05s. This is the final swing, I believe, for Wagner. No, actually, this is lap 5 now for him in the sim, so he will be going no faster in his qualifying run. It was a 25.493 that was good for pole, though. And the way this is working this week...
Oh, no. You said lap 5. That's not going to count. I was thrown off for a second.
All good, all good. So the way this is going to work this week is a little different from previous rounds. Instead of running pre-qualification all week long, the admins felt that with the car count we have, it would be best to run this qualifying session here on race day, give everybody a chance to qualify against everybody, and then split down into our couple of splits. We have 52 cars, 52 drivers that are going to get split down. I'd imagine somewhere around... I don't think it'll be a perfect 26-26. It'll probably be like a 30-20 kind of thing, if I had to guess. But regardless, admins will split into 2 splits with Matt Wagner, Nathan Dowd, Christian Challoner, Brenton Foster, Lionel Callisto at the top of the order, and you can see that here. Chris Willard, Eric Sarapoli, Austin O'Neill, Brian Bennett, and Stephen Paulison, your top 10. So if I had to guess, Zach, as you take a look at the next page of qualifying results here, if I had to guess, we will likely see a split somewhere down around... I would think 28 to 30. I would think 28th to 30th. I think they'll give a slight boost to top split versus second split. So we could see Joshua Mertz, Andy Banfield, Don Dolson, Scott Kukas run. I doubt they go too far beyond that because you still want to make sure there's enough cars down in the second split to have a good race. And they also could do a straight 26-26 split, in which case Joshua Mertz would be on pole for split number 2. Ray Partridge would just make it into split number 1. But as we look further down the order here, you'll see drivers who were just a little bit slower than where they needed to be. A couple of heavy hitters that were a little bit off in qualifying, Lynn Kinchlow and Ross Banfield. I'm very surprised to see them this far down the qualifying order, and that is going to heavily impact their points runs this season. We'll talk more about that here in a moment. Jason Wallet also further down the order than I would have expected coming into this event, and then you see the 52nd of 52 cars there with Robert Edgerton in car 723. So qualifying is ending. These times are final as far as I can tell, and that's a look through the full grid. What we do want to circle back around to now, though, Zach, is the track map, and there's one big distinction to make with this particular track map this evening. This is the oval track map, the normal NASCAR oval track map, where you enter the pits out of turn 4. However, We are on the open wheel oval this evening, meaning drivers will need to use that gray strip down on the inside of turn 3 and 4 that loops right around the bottom of the racetrack. That will be the access road. Drivers will have to use that when pitting no matter what tonight. That is listed as the pit lane on this open wheel oval. So it'll be a little bit different, Zach. That means pitting under green is going to be a monotony.
You're going to have to spell that word out for me. I don't know what it means.
Well, if it's monotonous, it's going to be unpleasant, we'll say. Yeah, it's gonna feel like an eternity running down through the access road on the inside of 3 and 4, and we could have some drivers make mistakes down there having to do so. So that's something to watch for this evening for sure. And of course, I mentioned point standings. We have 2 separate sets of point standings to look at. We will first begin with the driver standings coming into this evening. Nathan Dowd on top, but now that there's a drop figured in, Zach, Christian Challenger, Dallas Pataska, Robert Nash, they are hot on Nathan's coattails, mostly Christian Challenger. And they went 2 and 3 here in qualifying. Dowd in second, Challenger in third. They will be very fun to watch this evening here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Tom Abramitis, Vincent Leherbier, Christian Abate, those guys are just a little bit out of the conversation. Lionel Callisto there as well. Ross Banfield, that is the one that is so surprising to me. Lynn Kinchlow even is in this graphic, so he's in the top 24 on the standings. To see them both likely headed to split number 2, that is going to be a massive slap in the face to each of their runs. And there were other drivers, I think, in there as well that are likely headed down to split 2 that are on this graphic. They're just going to have to hope they can run at the top end of that split and get as many points as possible.
Absolutely. I think points are just going to be a major grab. I don't want to start going into championship scenarios or just kind of like how everyone is coming off of the Majors 24, but do you think, even though it wasn't a points round, maybe we'll see some headlines coming out of there coming into this race realistically? I mean, it doesn't pertain to the championship, but all these guys still race around each other for 13 races out of the year, 12 plus the exhibition.
In our second split coverage of the Majors 24, I didn't see any drivers from our normal splits, our normal Americas region. I didn't see a single one of them in there. Maybe I missed somebody, but I didn't see a single one of these drivers in our point standings in that race. I don't think there's much bearing there, but we can take a look at the team points here coming into this evening, and we'll take a little bit less of a look at this graphic for now, but I think we'll pay attention to this more as the season goes on, particularly between Giga Racing Team and Sector 5 Racing, because they are pretty close. When you have nearly 3,300 points and you're only separated by 200, that is pretty close at the top of the team standings. Udox Lola a little further down, Dogbear Bark, Fusion Silver America is certainly looking for more, and then I would consider if you're not in the top 5, you're probably not in the running for the team championship right now. So Toro Giga, Kingsman, Dogbear Bite, those guys and on down are a bit out of out of team point contention. So that said, the qualifying session has just forced to a close, meaning, Zach, we are just about to go racing. Stick with us here at Pit Stop TV. We're going to go to a quick break and be right back, hopefully, in our race session.
Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Anybody really should tell Adam. See you at the garage. Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Anybody really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.
And welcome back to the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. As you can see at the top left of your screen, warm-up is underway. About 2 minutes left to go in our warm-up session attached to the race session. From what we can tell, Zach Martis, it does seem that admins have taken the top 30 drivers and put them into tonight's race split. The first note was that Josh Mertz was in this top split race. The second note was noticing that Lynn Kinchlow is not, and that Scott Kukas is. Lynn Kinchlow qualified 0.167 seconds off of pole. Scott Kukas qualified 0.166 seconds off of pole. That is a 1/1000th of a second difference. That is all that Lynn Kinchlow missed this race by, from what I can tell, because Scott is in here, but I do not see Lynn's car. There's Scott's car down in the pit lane for Dog Bear Special, but I don't see Lynn Kinchlow And I don't expect to see Lynn Kinchler, unfortunately, in this top split race. We talked about points, we talked about track map, Zach. Let's talk about the Major Series schedule. Here we are, round 7 this evening, the first points paying race since all the way back on June 1st. And from here, boy, things really start to tighten up. Once we get through this Grand Prix of Miami, Zach, it's the World Series of Asphalt. That's in our wheelhouse. That's super late models at New Smyrna. But then it's back to the IMSA classes at Petit Le Mans, NASCAR next-gen vehicles at the Southern 500, and then Gen 3 supercars late in October at Bathurst, followed up by Super Formula at the Japanese Grand Prix. A lot of really cool races coming up.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited for the races they've got coming up. The World Series of Asphalt has got to be one of my favorites. I think, I want to say the Japanese GP is going to be really cool too. I think it's going to be really awesome. The Bathurst 500 though, I have not done a broadcast at Bathurst before, especially with the supercars. So that's going to be a first for me, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to go. It's really just hard to pick. Honestly, they hit the schedule so well.
It's a really solid schedule. Hits all of the key points that you would want to for a majors type schedule. Hits some really cool events along the way. So with the schedule out of the way, we can take a quick look at the weather conditions for this race. As the session switches over, it'll take a second here, but warm up, you see the track temp was 113 degrees. Let's leave this up and see just how it changes. It's going to show this temperature initially and then switches. Yeah, look at that, 115 degree track temp. Only 80 degrees in the air, Zach. Pretty high winds too out of the southeast, 15 miles per hour. That track temp will be of note all night long. Sure enough, 30 cars ready to go racing here this evening in the Major Series at Homestead Miami Speedway. Let's meet the starting grid. On pole for the Lucky Performance starting grid, it'll be Matt Wagner in car 616. Nathan Dowd will grid up from second. Christian Challenger, Speedway 500 winner, will start from third. Brenton Foster from fourth. Starting fifth will be Lionel Callisto. Chris Willard from sixth. Eric Staropoli from 7th, Austin O'Neill from 8th, and from 9th and 10th, it's Brian Bennett and Stephen Paulson.
Moving on down the order, William Fletcher and Bryce Roberts are going to take up 11th and 12th, 13th and 14th on the starting grid. Right behind them, you'll find Shane McCary and Justin Byers. Right behind them, in the 15th and 16th position, rolling off about the halfway point tonight, you'll find Damian Coltley and Daniel Johnson in the 34 and the 659. In 17th and 18th on the starting grid tonight, you'll find Robert Nash and Christian Debate, oh my goodness, excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied, Andrew. And 19th and 20th, you'll find Brian Barnes and Bob Beltrami.
Down in 21st spot, it's Joseph Homan alongside Brian McGreevy. From 23rd and 24th, Wayne Hutchison and Ryan Steele. Back in 25th, it's Scott Kennedy. 26th, Ray Partridge. In 27th, though, a rallycross racer by day, trying some Indy cars here this evening. And in the 27th spot, Joshua Mertz alongside Andy Banfield, Don Dolson, and Scott Kukas, the very back row of tonight's 30-car feature. Real quick, Whiplash SimCam's race details. This is a 200-lap, 300-mile race with unlimited tires, 100% fuel load, open setups, one fast fix, no free pass, single-file restarts, all that good stuff that you would expect with an IndyCar-style race. Here we go, Zach, right around to the start-finish line to get this race underway. This is round 7 of the Major Series, and already cars are spinning into the inside wall. We won't be going far here on this green flag.
Well, that didn't take long.
No caution yet, though. Eric Staropoli, one of those two cars. Scott Kukas, it looks like, started from the pit lane. Lionel Callisto, I believe, was the other spinner from the green. But here we go. We've got ourselves a battle out front.
Oh, this is what I love about the old style of Indy cars. It's so easy for them to get close up and get into a battle. They might get 3 wide here. They just might down to the inside. Side by side. Oh my goodness. Camera angles make it look 4 wide, ladies and gentlemen, but it is 2 wide, 2 rows deep. Challenger to the race lead now. He's got the nose in front. He's going to get clear. Now they might go 3 wide. Wagner comes up to block.
And stuck in the middle of all this was Nathan Dowd there at a turn 4. You see, he had a roadblock in front of him. He gets it figured out now by turn 1, but he's going to fall down to 5th spot. Brenton Foster rolled on through to 2nd. He now puts chase to Christian Challoner as Chris Willard has sorted into 3rd position, and now the field starts to straighten out and thin out down the long back straightaway here. Here's a look at some racing in the back end of the field. Joseph Holman, he's single file behind Ray Partridge and Brian Barnes. And just ahead of that, you'll find Brian McGreevy, Ryan Steele, Damian Colty, and some others all racing towards the back end of this field.
Side by side. You're going to be saying that a lot, Andrew, side by side throughout the field, because these guys, they're just going to get racy in these cars. These are some of my favorite cars in the iRacing.com sim, and you see so much with these cars, and really you can see it on your screen right now. There's so much pack racing going on, but when you have the line figured out, you're going to pull away from the rest of the field. Challoner and Foster have absolutely checked out. Look at the spread they have on the rest of the field, and they're starting to spread out a little bit further back, but these two up front, they pretty much just checked out.
And this is looking over the right front, of course, of Brenton Foster's machine. You see that gap back to Chris Willard, 1.7 seconds. Clearly, these two have got this car figured out this evening from the get-go. It's a shame as well that we won't get to look back at that lap 1 incident, but again, the cars involved, Eric Staropoli, Lionel Callisto back on the racetrack, albeit well down the order. He is 28th spot in that Sector 5 number 2 car, and about 1/2 lap down, a little more than a half a lap. Eric Staropoli, however, in the Sector 5 number 93 is 30th, some 3 laps down, as Scott Kugas has already gone 1 lap down, is his number 242. So problems already across some of the field. Up front, though, here we go. Down the back straightaway, 2 wide. That's Nathan Dowd working on Chris Willard.
Can't wait to see when these guys are going to start going 3 wide. And it looks like now might be that time. Almost gets crossed over on the dirty air and falls back in single file behind the 2 cars fighting. But there's more fighting going on throughout the field. And as they fight throughout, Andrew, I think that's one thing that we really need to remember about these cars is when it comes to any racing in general, but especially with Indy racing style cars or Formula style racing cars, aero wash is just a huge factor. Crossing the wake in these cars can be detrimental to either a stable or unstable race car.
Riding on board here with Christian Abate. Rides in 9th position, fitting for car 09. He's right behind Robert Nash, but I wanted to show this telemetry graphic before we got too far into this race because this shows exactly how many RPMs they're turning, the speed they're entering the corner at, in excess of 200 miles per hour in gear 5. And ooh, the wall there for Christian Abate just scrapes the outside wall a couple of times there through turns 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway. This also shows just how close these guys are and the beginnings of what you're talking about there, Zach, the aero wash. These guys getting tight in another car's wake as Abate works to the outside, makes it 3 wide there with Brian Bennett and Robert Nash.
You know, there's still things that you can take into consideration with something like a full body stock car that you usually see with NASCAR here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Running up against that wall, there's like an aero pocket. When you're running up against it, it creates a certain type of force that just kind of helps keep your speed up when you're running against the wall. It's I don't know how to describe it, honestly. I'm not a scientist. I don't know how these things work. I just drive the car and hope it goes fast. But now you see the cars, mostly single file, running up towards against the wall, or at least up in that higher line on the seams, just making sure that they're keeping the cars stable and keeping them in a good position. Here you see a great run down the front straightaway. They're going to get side by side, both rows deep in this fight right here. Going to get clear really quick. These runs form quick. They dissipate quick. You got to make sure you are staying on top of it.
This is the best battle on the racetrack right now, inside the top 10 for sure. You've got Christian Abate working now up to 5th position. Chris Willard is continuing to fall backwards quicker and quicker. That number 32 headed the wrong direction now. Going to fall back to 7th position maybe. As I saw one car well to the inside there at a turn 4. It seems like things are okay. That car out of pace might have been William Fletcher. But down the back straightaway, we maintain with this battle inside the top 10. Willard and Nash side by side to turns 3 and 4 here on lap 13.
Oh, this is so fun to see. I love seeing how these guys get these runs in these race cars, just doing whatever they can to find more and more speed as they roll in to 1 and 2. That's dicey right there. You saw that 96 of Nash dip down those left side tires, just barely getting onto the apron. That could upset this race car so quickly. They cannot afford to be spinning out like that this early on in the race, because with just how fast they're going, a spin like that would send them right to the wall. Maybe in a heavy full-body stock car, you'd spin out, you'd slide down on the apron, maybe hit the grass. That's fine. These guys will go up the racetrack really quickly. And the one thing that you're going to notice as well, Andrew, is how these guys just run with their runs. It's a weird phrase to say, but the big thing with IndyCar racing, and you see that with modern-style IndyCar racing, run where the air is least affecting your car, like the dirty air, that is. Don't run in somebody's wake. If you want to be fast, run opposing. You can still be fast on the bottom, someone on the top. You can be fast with someone top and you're on the bottom. As long as you're out of their aero wash, you're still going to be quick.
Pass made there. Justin Byers goes by Chris Willard. That black number 32 continues to drop down the order. Out front, it is all Christian Challoner leading the way here at Homestead Miami Speedway. A little further back, you see the number 11 of Brenton Foster. They are the top two, and have been the top two for some 15 laps or so since the start of the race, more or less. Nathan Dowd runs in third now. There he is, down back straightaway. He's now ahead of Matt Wagner in the 616, who seems to also be from Sector 5 Racing. Christian Abate runs in the 5th spot. He's made some significant ground up in this race after starting 18th, Zach. And, you know, something we talk about whenever we go to Indianapolis with these style cars, we always talk about how hard it is to make way in traffic, to make passes. 13 spots in, at the time, it was fewer than that laps. Now it's been 18 laps. But 13 spots that quickly is a mega charge by Christian Abate. Watch out for the 09 as this race goes on. He might have the best racing car underneath him today based on that alone. That is huge.
Can't disagree with you. I mean, that is absolutely huge, and it's got to be a testament to his pace right now. As we look back on with a few other battles throughout the race right now. Oh, got to move down the inside, breaking out of the single file racing. We're gonna ride on board with Mr. Bob Beltrami.
Fan favorite.
He can't do up on that high side.
Fan favorite Bob Beltrami with Beltrami Salami. Working here in the 12th spot, right ahead of Ryan Steele and right behind Stephen Paulson. And caution is out for the first time here today. It's going to include Damian Colty, and I don't see a rear wing on that number 34 car anymore. There you see the leaders in the background, so problems here, big time trouble for the Honda of Colty, and yeah, that's not going to work. No wing on these Indy cars is scary. Hold the brakes, son. Oh boy.
Should be able to get that rear wing repaired, though. I would assume if it's a front wing, it should be able to get fixed as well.
Colty's still trying to get going. Didn't want to use the access road. It depends on if he's got any gearbox or drivetrain or suspension damage to that car, Zach. The wing alone might be able to be replaced. I'm not sure about it being in the older IndyCar, but there's a lot more going on, I'd imagine, than just the wing being gone. Yeah, there's some damage, I think, to that tail cone, I think it's called, or something like that.
Trying to look at the rear tires to see if they're out of alignment by any chance.
And pit stops here for the leaders, so we'll take a look at the pit stops for everybody coming in, and then we'll take a look back at the replay and see how Colty ended up in this situation in the first place. I would expect, Zach, being 22 laps in, unlimited tire sets, everybody is probably going to take Ford fuel. Abate down and away. Watch for Challoner. There goes Challoner. There goes Foster, Wagner, and Dowd. And so very quickly, down and away, everybody in this field taking service here under this caution flag. Let's go back and see what happened. I got to go back a little bit further. And look for Damian Colty. Here he is off of turn 4. Got loose. Boom. Contact. Was that Staropoli he hit?
Just might be.
I can't quite tell. Of course, the camera shake is going crazy with these Indy cars moving all that air. That was a big miss there by somebody.
I'm making an executive decision for lucky performance, lucky break of the day on that one.
All right, that was Don Dolson that got by him, and that car he hit was Eric Staropoli. So Staropoli with the initial contact once Colty started to go around, but let's see what happened first from Staropoli's perspective, then Dolson, and then come back to the green flag, because it's happening here in just a moment. This is Staropoli's perspective. And then quickly to Dolson. Actually, that's not the right car. I'm going to have to skip Dolson. Yeah. There's Don Dolson. 1 second. We can do this. We have the technology. We can do it, I promise. Oh, there we go.
Like I said, I am putting that in for my nomination of lucky performance, lucky break of the day. That was a very near miss. That could have been a lot worse than it was.
So there you go. Lucky performance, lucky break of the day contender already for Don Dolson. Very close miss. And honestly, even for Eric Staropoli. Because while it doesn't get him back in the race or anything, he did get 1 lap back by staying out. And quite frankly, it could have been a lot worse than it was. But here we go. Back into the restart zone. Green flag is back out. Spinning. Spinning is one car. It's Justin Byers in the 704. No yellow flag, and he's going to tow. Let's go back and check this out.
That's 2 incidents on 2 starts so far.
Moved it on his own.
Just on the tires. And completely broke the left front, so that is definitely going to be his day done.
And here we go. First lap off the restart happening now. Completing now. Challenger still out front. Foster still second. Nathan Dowd has got a mirror full of Christian Abate into turn 1.
Up the racetrack. Dowd goes up, runs his line. Abate is going to drive it into the bottom. Try to take that spot away. Should he clear? I think he will.
So Abate moves up. Foster now taking a quick look at Christian Challenger, wondering if he can go by the number 1 car here somewhere. Now, I don't know if there's an exact rule on the number 1 here in Major Series, but I know in racing tradition, the number 1 is usually reserved for the defending champion. Of course, Max Verstappen has run the number 1 the last several years for that reason. We saw that with Lewis Hamilton and so many Formula 1 champions in the past. We see it in IndyCar as well. I do wonder if maybe that gives an extra target to Christian Challenger's back, as there's another caution out. Trouble in the back. This is going to be Shane Vickery around, and he has also got a completely damaged left side. So Zach, here he is racing with the number 28. The 28 belonging today to William Fletcher. And right behind him is Lionel Callisto on the number 2. Fletcher goes up the racetrack and then comes right back down, maybe? Yeah, hits the wall, down the track. Oh my goodness. Nothing that Vickery could have done there. Oh. Big hit. And here for William Fletcher. Got into the wall, came down. Got spun around a bit. I actually wonder, did he... So watch his hands here. Something that I've noticed in iRacing replays, as soon as the suspension breaks... Okay.
Ooh.
As soon as the suspension breaks, the steering will go rigid, and I thought I saw that when he hit the wall initially, maybe indicating why he popped off the wall, but I was mistaken, so he just got the wall and ricocheted down into Vickery. Lionel Callisto got a piece of that as well. Here it is from his onboard. Initially breaking the right front suspension, but then that damage re-rendered And it seems like the number 2 is okay. All this while many cars head back down to the pit lane. Stephen Paulson, one of them. There he goes. 8 seconds spent in the box. Lionel Callisto in the box as well. Joseph Homan down the pit lane. And Zach, I think you'll agree, anytime you're not in the top 15 or so today, I would reckon you may as well go ahead and come in and get tires under caution. You may as well just go ahead and do it.
I absolutely would as well. I see no point in staying out on old tires most of the time. These cars are just so powerful. Old tires, too much wheel spin for my opinion.
So as you take a look around the Homestead Miami Speedway here briefly, Zach, I gotta wonder, I know we're only about 30 laps in. We're not gonna have that conversation just yet about driver of the day. Certainly not yet. We are far from doing that, but we've talked a little bit about, you know, lucky break of the day and stuff like that. Who do you have maybe as your pick for the day, more or less?
That's such an early ask right now. We're 30 laps into 200.
But I'm not asking you at the green flag, at least. I'm asking, you know, we're a little bit in. We've seen the first 30 laps of racing, a lot of Christian Challoner, Brenton Foster. So that at least gives you a basis to go off of.
It does. Ask me again in 15 laps.
15, sounds good. Want to give a big thank you to our partners here with the channel: Whiplash SimCam's ATVO, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. Certainly could not do it without these partners on the left side of the screen, whether it's making the broadcast happen, smelling up Broadcast HQ in the best of ways, or helping design the liveries that you see in our promotional material, or even just being great partners of this channel. We appreciate all that is done for us here at Pit Stop TV, but here we go back around to the restart zone. It'll be Christian Challoner, Brenton Foster, Christian Abate, Nathan Dowd, and Robert Nash, the top 10. Green flag back in the air, 170 to go. Watch Abate, you're working on Brenton Foster for the first time today. And even a side-by-side right behind and Nathan Dowd and Robert Nash. Here they go off of turn 4.
Side by side going through 1 and 2. I'll tell you, Andrew, I just get so scared seeing those guys run right across that white line. It's so dicey. We've already seen guys spin loose already. Oh, it makes me so freaking nervous. Look at how close he gets down to that bottom line. Robert Nash, he ends up getting clear of Nathan Dowd and is going to run up towards the front into that 4th spot, trying to hunt down Christian Abate. Is on board with the back. I was about to say the back bumper. Back attenuator? No. What is it called again?
I mean, iRacing just calls it the gearbox cam.
Well, yeah.
I do think that's close enough to where the gearbox is actually held in this car, but regardless, that was from the back pod, if you will, of Christian Challoner. This from the right front of Brenton Foster's machine. And on the bottom right, you see the gap between these two drivers. And this is a great shot of the suspension, some of the travel, how much the wheels turn. But most importantly, I feel like a great depiction of just how low to the ground that wing is, yet I feel like it's higher off the ground than newer iterations of the Indy car, and it's also pretty well low profile compared to what you see on normal Indy cars, or I guess current modern Indy cars. So again, it shows you the difference in technology, the difference in what we had versus what we have. And it definitely plays into how these cars race. Foster right on the back end of Challoner still. Meanwhile, behind these guys, you've got Abate, Nash, Dowd, your top 5. all together here in some battling towards the back end of the top 10. Chris Willard is down to the 10th spot, but Wayne Hutchison is right behind with Bob Beltrami there as well. Look at how close they get through turns 3 and 4. Beltrami making a move.
That was close.
That one about fell into Beltrami's hands. Now this one will. Down the back straightaway. Opportunity is there for Beltrami to go by Willard, and he will take it here to turn number 3. So position gained as Wayne Hutchison will work now on Austin O'Neill. And look at that, side by side ahead as well. Nathan Dowd has fallen out of the top 5. Ryan Steele has actually moved forward. Steele is going for 3rd. Watch that, number 12.
Down on the bottom.
Some very obvious Willpower Verizon inspiration there for Ryan Steele's paint scheme, and boy, is it working out for him.
I almost thought that was not going to work. It just feels like with everyone running up on the top, and that's where the toe is, you have to be able to try and have some sort of assistance.
Meanwhile, Nathan Dowd, as quickly as he was out of the top 10, or top 5 rather, he's back in it, as a couple of cars are slow. Wagner just fell all the way back to 11th. Bennett down to 10th. So a couple of Sector 5 cars going backwards. And we've got ourselves quite the line here, Zach.
Couple cars poking out a line going down into turn 1, but everybody's majority single file throughout the field.
Dog Bear and Giga drivers going at it here. Slide job almost out of Hutchison. That's a Dog Bear driver and Wayne Hutchison making the pass. So as we start to focus more and more on that team championship, keep those team names in mind, right? Robert Nash from Giga Racing Team here in the 7th spot. Austin O'Neill from Fusion Gold Americas. Bob Beltrami from Dog Bear Bark. And you go up to Wayne Hutchison at just Dog Bear. Keep these names in mind because they will come into play these later rounds of the season as drivers start to lose focus on the driver championship. If they're not up top, they're going to start to do things for their team championship. It's going to be worth watching.
Multiple cars jumping out of line, running that bottom, seeing what air they can get on that nose to keep moving forward. I don't know what it is, Andrew, but open wheel cars running on an oval, just absolutely perfect. I'm not gonna start dissing on road course racing, but seeing these types of cars running on a different type of discipline like an oval, it's amazing to me. I love seeing it.
I will say, I took a bit of a view of each of the other regions' races. Didn't get to watch the complete race of either one, but I did at least check out the broadcast from SimSpeed and GSRC. And on SimSpeed, of course, they had the Motegi race, so the other oval race of the weekend, and that was a lot of fun with David Haynes and them, taking us through that race. And it was interesting, of course, a very different racetrack, but also very similar to what we've got here at Homestead. Flatter, differently shaped, but still a mile and a half, so in the same ballpark. Then, of course, GSRC had the Sonoma race for the Euro split, and I'm going to be honest, Zach, I even took some laps in this car at Portland earlier today to work on some other cameras. I think I like it better on a road course than I do on an oval.
Oh, baby.
I really enjoyed this car on a road course. Not as much as the current day Indy car. I think that's a lot of fun with the different tire compounds, but this car was still a hoot around Portland, and boy, is it tough to drive as well. It's a different kind of tough to drive, and I heard, I think it was Ross Banfield talk about it in his interview on Global Sim Racing Channel. I believe this car is miles behind the current day Indy car on iRacing standards, just by the tire model, Zach. I mean, this is an older car, doesn't receive updates regularly anymore. So these tires, I believe, are much older in that sense. They behave much more differently to what we see on the current IndyCar here on iRacing, and it shows. The tire slip angle is completely different. It's very different in how you have to drive the car. Of course, you can talk all you want about aerodynamic and mechanical changes and whatnot, but realistically, there's only 4 things holding the car to the racetrack, and those are the 4 tires. So the 4 tires make the biggest difference, I feel like, being on the older tire model. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but it sure was.
Downforce.
Sure, but still, the 4 tires, I feel like, are even more important as we look at this battle now. Deep in the field, Ray Partridge, Chris Willard, Daniel B. Johnson, and some others here. Joshua Mertz as well. I shouted this guy out as a rallycross racer. I'm not sure what he's going to have on his car. He does also partake in IndyCar racing, as you're seeing here today. He is a team driver over at Kingsman Racing, but he's just been taken out.
No!
My goodness, Joshua, I'm so sorry.
A heavy, heavy blow.
And that's with a teammate as well, Daniel B. Johnson.
The bringer of chaos has brought the chaos to Homestead Miami Speedway, ladies and gentlemen.
Boy. I just wanted to shout a friend out, man. That's it. But Joshua Mertz behind the NASA's sim racing, the NASA Rallycross Championship. And right here, Daniel B. Johnson just got loose, came careening down the racetrack into Josh Mertz.
It's a weight transfer right there. Quick move up the racetrack. Just upsets the whole balance of the race car. And you were just talking about this, Andrew, and how the 4 tires are pretty much the only thing holding these cars to the ground. But you gotta remember, there's also just such very little actual grip patch that's making, or contact patch of these tires. It's just a rough deal right there.
We're going to take one more look at this crash and then flip back to live picture. Jake Fox giving his teammates the F in the YouTube chat. Yeah, I hate to see that for Kingsman Racing. You never, ever want to crash. You certainly never want to crash your teammate. In this case, Daniel B. Johnson has done both. Josh Mertz, an innocent bystander in all of that, but we come back up to live picture, and our drivers have just left the pit lane with Christian Challoner still out ahead over Brenton Foster and Ryan Steele. Christian Abate in 4th, Nathan Dowd in 5th, Robert Nash, Wayne Hutchison, Austin O'Neill, Brian McGreevy, and Bob Beltrami. The remainder of those drivers headed out of the pit lane. 3 cars do stay out. It looks like they're all lapped machines. I would expect they are maybe Eric Staropoli, yes, maybe Justin Byers, yes, and potentially even Shane Vickery, yes it is. So that tells you who is staying out. They'll all try to get the wave around. There's Damian Colty. The only car completely out of the race, Zach, is William Fletcher. Well, we've had some time now, Zach. I gave you 5-6 extra laps even. I'm going to ask you now, who's your pick?
I think I'm going to probably take a safe bet here. I think I'm going to go with Robert Nash. He's sitting in the 6th spot. We've seen how competitive he can be. We've seen how Nathan Dowd can be competitive as well. We've already seen who really is the cream of the crop after only a quarter of the way through the race so far. But I don't know. I think that would be a solid pick moving forward. Now, this is just my pick now, though. We're only 52 laps in. Give it another 100 laps or so, maybe another 125. Maybe my driver of the day pick will change. I don't know. I'm still feeling this out.
Well, we will see how your pick holds up over the course of this race, Zach, as we're about to go back green flag racing just on the far side of the quarter mark of this race. The iRacing.com sedan pace car will head back to the relative safety of pit lane, and we'll turn things right back over to Christian Challoner. Boy, does he have these Indy cars figured out. Green flag back in the air here at Miami. One car is spinning. And caution is out for Justin Byers. 1 lap down, he has spun around on another restart.
Oh no.
This one at least drew the caution flag, whereas earlier when he spun on a restart, there was no yellow.
That's
On
right,
board here with Justin Byers, he just gassed it up and it spun.
That's the hard part about restarting in the middle of the corner. You're turning the wheel and you're trying to point the car straight.
Well, this happened to him even on the front stretch. Listen. He just gunned it, and he needed to be a lot more ginger getting to the gas.
Short shifting. I love short shifting, and that is why.
So this will prompt another caution period here, Zach, which means we have a chance to talk about the weather conditions and how they've changed over the course of the race so far. Track temp has only gone up 119 degrees, and I believe the sim time here is mid-afternoon, early afternoon even, so around the 1 o'clock hour in the sim. It's going to continue to get hotter, I would say, as the race goes on, at least for another hour or so, maybe even 2. It's going to continue to build temp out there in the racetrack. 119 degrees, though, that is rather warm.
That's a slick track if I ever saw one.
And the humidity for South Florida is only at 40%. I would have thought it'd be a much more humid race, but not that bad in that regard. So we've already seen kind of a lucky break of the day for Don Dolson. He has managed to carry on the spirit. He's still in the race. There he is in his number 04. He just missed that spinner earlier and is still in this thing from Kinetic Racing. I wonder how he can do. We've seen some lucky breaks of the day, Zach, be awarded a little bit prematurely lately. I can recall multiple broadcasts as of late where we award the break of the day, and then shortly thereafter, that driver gets taken out. And that even happened last night in a UMP modified race we ended up doing by surprise at Fairbury Speedway. We gave lucky break of the day to Jason McManus, and then he was involved in a crash some 20 laps later. I'm not saying it's going to happen here to Don, but I am saying I hope it doesn't happen.
You've already brought chaos once today. Calm down.
Yeah, well, thankfully for Josh Mertz, we do have extra cars in play here this evening, so he is back on the racetrack. But they only have that one extra car, only that one backup car to quickly go to and continue racing. So Josh Mertz is back here in that number 23. Back on the racetrack at least, but is going to be looking for more. And Daniel B. Johnson, for that matter, is on the racetrack again as well. But there he is, 2 laps down. Definitely going to be needing to catch some cautions at just the right time to get those laps back and get back in this race. Well, here we go, Zach. Back around to the restart zone this next time by. Christian Challoner with the lead over Brenton Foster, Ryan Steele, Christian Abate, and Nathan Dowd. Going to watch this one from the drones here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Into the restart zone we go. And right away, green flag is out. Christian Challoner back on the loud pedal. Three wide down the backstretch. Now they get it sorted. Nathan Dowd 2 wide now with Robert Nash. There they go through turns 3 and 4. Look at how close they are. And down the front stretch we go.
Side by side and in turn number 1. Nash inside. Is he gonna get clear? No, looks like he won't. They're going to run side by side down the back straightaway into turns number 3 and 4. Gets clear, Andrew. driving away.
And this dominance this season from Nathan Dowd has been a lot of fun to watch. Look back at the point standings. You can bring those up here. He's got the points lead coming into this evening still. He's been leading the points since Daytona. So Dowd out front by nearly 60 markers over Challenger, but Challenger's going to eat into that if he stays uncontested out front. I'm sure Brenton Foster's got a plan for him at some point, but so far Nathan Dowd just has not had the same speed that Challenger has had. As you see some great racing there happening in the back. Let's go back to that. Brian Bennett, Bob Beltrami, look at this. Bennett down low, Beltrami up top. Matt Wagner there tucked in behind his teammate down low. And, Don Dolson was looking to the inside.
Big train of cars on the bottom line. Big holes up top, though, so they're going to slide in. You go from having a train of cars in the corners on the bottom to a train of cars on the top in the straightaway, but now they're doubled up 3 rows deep. This is going to be a nightmare. They're almost 3 wide going into the corner. Now they're 3 wide. There it is.
What a catch on Brian Bennett.
Lucky, that's another nomination. Lucky performance, lucky break of the day. Oh my goodness.
Fantastic catch there by Brian Bennett. I don't know how he kept that car pointed the right direction, but he did. That was off the right front of Don Dolson. I want to go back and get a quick replay of that. Watch the hands from Brian Bennett. This is a beautiful, beautiful catch. And he really didn't do a whole lot, Zach. He just kind of held on.
Little movements, that's all you really need.
So Brian Bennett continues to race on. That easily could have been the end of his day. And Dolson making the most of it as well. He brings the fight here to Scott Kennedy. This for 13th. Austin O'Neill, Ray Partridge just ahead. There they are side by side. Partridge moving forward today. Austin O'Neill in that Tron-looking race car, the number 5 there just behind.
Say a Tron-looking race car?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It gives me Tron vibes.
I can see it.
Well, that's good. I would hope so. It's in the production feed that's going to Discord, so... Anyways,
I'm just kind of seeing the point, I guess.
I know. Well, we've got a battle moving up for the 4th spot. Ryan Steele, Christian Abate. It's actually for 3rd. Ryan Steele has been a lot of fun to watch so far today. I mean, Abate, he's up from, 17th, but Ryan Steele is up from 24th. So these two drivers did not qualify very well, but they've got great race setups underneath them. They've each raced to the front. Here's Steele running in 4th, up 20 spots. Here's Abate running in 3rd, up 15 spots. And Zach, I know it's way early as we hit the 1/3 mark in this race, but it's worth looking at the positions gained on our ticker. And we can do that with one click of the button. And there you see, look at the top 10. Abate up 15, Steele up 20, Nash up 12, Hutchison up 17, McGreevy up 15, and Partridge up 17 spots. Dowd and O'Neill down 6 and 2, but otherwise, there are 6 massive position gains in the top 10. And then, of course, you have a lot of drivers losing a bunch of spots. Starpoli down 19, down 19 for Fletcher, down 10 for Callisto and Bennett, down 15 for Wagner. Just incredible what some of these drivers are able to do and what some of the other drivers are going through.
Absolutely. Said it once, to say it again. I love this style of racing on ovals. It makes for some great headlines.
Well, and this is a little bit different from what we saw in the Speedway 500. Of course, you're using a lot of the same skills from Indianapolis and the current IndyCar, but you're applying them differently. This racetrack is different to race. It definitely feels different when you're out there in the race car. The car, of course, feels vastly different from what we saw back in May. But you are still using a lot of the same principles, of course, to do aero battle and whatnot. As here we go, 3 wide. Oh my goodness, Homan! What a catch there. That's Homan down low in the white and purple. Willard up top in the black car. He gets shoved up behind Homan. And now they're side by side behind with Brian Barnes and Brian Bennett. Bennett will get clear. That's actually Matt Wagner, not Brian Bennett. They have the same paint scheme. Lionel Callisto, though, from Sector 5, bringing the fight now to Don Dolson.
Big move to the inside right here. He's going to have a huge run going into 3. Absolute ships it to the moon. Gets that job done real easy.
Something tells me Dolson might not be done yet. Let's go on board with him inside the helmet. I feel like a broken record saying it, Zach, but this might be my favorite camera angle we have on the broadcast. Driver's eye POV. It's like you're sitting in the car. It's like you're the driver racing it. This is about as close as you can get to what the driver would see, whether it's in the car in real life or in the sim here on iRacing.com.
You already know my favorite camera angle. That's the speed shot. I love the speed shot camera. Gives you a real good sense of speed. There it is. All these cars flying by the front straightaway here. I love seeing it shake, rattle, and roll. Oh, moving down to the inside, too. See, it catches great moves going on throughout the field. It's such a beautiful camera. Whiplash Sim Cams does beautiful work.
And one thing I saw that time into turn 3 was Brenton Foster being right on the back end of Christian Challenger. Here they are, about a 10th apart, lap 75 now of this race. They've been out there, Zach, since they last pitted for about 24 laps. Now, it has not been 24 green flag laps, but it has been 24 laps, and we don't have an exact read on just how far these guys can go yet. They might not even know just yet exactly how far they can go on fuel. I would guess, Indianapolis, you get about 30 to 33, right? I would guess somewhere 40 to 45 laps per tank here at Homestead, maybe as far as 50. I wouldn't bank on anything beyond 50 laps, that's for sure.
Might be right there, honestly. Creates a decent window of opportunity for these guys.
And look at that, Ryan Steele, Christian Abate, they are very close now, right behind. Let's go on board with Steele, who's raced in the 3rd spot, passing Abate. We're closing in on halfway through this race, and Steele just continues to look better and better. Remember, he started 24th position. He's up 21 spots now. Here we go.
He's making a move to the outside. That's the first that we've really seen throughout the race so far today. These guys have all been taking moves to the inside. Obviously, we've seen passes on the outside, but never a big move like that to jump up to the top. That was risky.
But it worked out, and he's going to bring the fight right to Challenger. Went right around the outside of Brenton Foster. Brenton let him have it. Watch this, down to turn 3. Do we see a move made? Ryan Steele looks outside on Challenger, doesn't quite get there. Rides right in his tire tracks there to 3 and 4. He's going to have a run down the front stretch. Here he goes. Ryan Steele to the inside of race leader Christian Challenger. There might be our very first true lead change since Challenger took over. Yes, it is.
That's our only lead change so far?
That's our second. Remember, Challenger started about 3rd, and raced up there. So that is our second lead change in 80 laps of racing. That is incredible.
That threw me off for a second. I forgot it doesn't update until the line.
And Don Dolson headed to the pit lane here in car 04. He did pit under that last caution, or I guess the same caution as everybody else when they pitted. So I wonder if this is a precursor or something. They've only run about 29, 30 laps. So this seems early, but maybe he's trying to work this race in reverse, Zach. If they're 40 laps run to the end, 40 lap runs to the end, oh, he's just put it in reverse. You're kidding. Oh my gosh.
What's worse, sliding through your box or putting it in reverse?
Back it up, put it in reverse, Terry.
The amount of times that I hear that meme, oh my goodness.
Well, Dolson will work out of the pit lane. Regardless, if these are 40 lap runs to the end, I wonder if he's trying to work this race in reverse and to be 3 stints to the end from here, 2 more stops. That, of course, though, is banking on a lot of things going right, and primarily that we have no cautions. Here's the end.
Let's think about this for a second. Let's say we do go caution-free to the end of the race. How does that set up the strategy at this point? You've worked through a couple of cautions already. You know, you're not going to be able to rely on, say, working from the back on cautions to get back up to the front. How do you change your race pace moving forward with this?
It's a question I wish I could answer. Honestly, I think what you want to do here is run the fuel out as long as you can, no matter what, because it'll be easier to adjust, I feel like, what you do in the subsequent runs. This first run, it's never a guarantee that you're going to stay caution-free. I would run it out as far as you can and not get caught that lap down. And then, if you want to take shorter stints or short stops or whatever to get to the end of the race, that I think is more doable. But this first stint back to green, I would hold off on doing anything crazy. I would just do what these guys seem like they're doing and run it out. There's your top 4 under a blanket. Black and white, yellow, red and white, and green and black.
Side by side with the lap car. Moving on by.
Not a lot going on around the racetrack. There is this battle here between Nathan Dowd and Brian McGreevy. This is for 7th. Deeper in the field, Brian Barnes, Joseph Homan. On board with Brian Barnes.
You know, I wonder, we've seen a lot of these guys just kind of holding in 6th gear throughout the entire time. You see any of them downshifting to 5th, maybe try to get some runs, set them up?
It's interesting you mentioned that, Zach, because while Brian Barnes is running in 6th gear there, when we were on board earlier with guys like Christian Abate and others out front, they're in 5th. There's Abate in 5th gear, Foster in 5th, Challoner in 5th, Ryan Steele is in 5th. These guys all in 5th gear out front. This is a lot like a Super Series or National Tour race where they have options to change whatever gear they want. And while in stock cars, you really can just control the final drive, I believe in these drivetrains, you can fine-tune each gear. So you can really get picky about what you want, what gear you want to run in, and it seems like these guys have done that here. That could also play into how long they can go on fuel and when they decide to pit.
You drag out that final drive gear, you just are able to hold into it, save a little bit more. See, this is what I'm talking about. 5th gear for Challoner. He's got a tow. He's going to try to set up the run best he can. that aero effect on these race cars, it's so apparent right now. You just get stuck in the toe and you can't exactly go anywhere.
Deep in the field here, Bob Beltrami and Scott Kennedy are well, they were side by side. Here they are now a little further apart. Kennedy in the blue and yellow machine, Bob Beltrami in the red, white, and green machine. And Zach, we even have a battle off of the lead lap. Scott Kukas is chasing down Bryce Roberts. This could be a fun little fight as this race goes on to pay attention to see who is the first car one lap down. Now, I know, of course, we don't have free passes. We don't have lucky dogs, but you still want to be that first car because that gives you more time, if you do catch a caution at the right time, more time to go in, pit, and get back on the racetrack.
I think if you go a lap down, it's just going to end up being a kiss of death. There's not much that you're going to be able to do otherwise.
Meanwhile, as we approach lap 100, Ryan Steele, Bretton Foster, Christian Challoner, and Christian Abate all run in your top 4 spots. They have changed hands for second. Foster moving ahead of Challoner. And look at that, Abate working on Challoner.
I was about to say, the more I think these guys are staying single file, the more I feel like they're just being patient and waiting around, but Abate's not exactly waiting too long. And Challoner has just dropped since losing the lead. I don't mean that to say that he's just dropped in pace, but I mean, if we're doing Indian runs, he went from the back to the front, or he went from the front to the back really quick.
Just riding around here with Christian Challoner, waiting on that halfway mark. 2 laps to go to that point. Gotta wonder, when do these guys want to pit? They've now run 48 laps. Or I guess they're on lap 48 rather, as they hit lap 99 of the race. So they've run about half this race on this set of tires and fuel. How much longer can they go? Granted, they had a caution in there to save some. But I wonder, this could really change up the pit strategy. And, of course, these drivers are cognizant of it here, Zach, as we hit lap 100. They're going to be aware of how far they need to go for their next pit stop. And trying to stretch that fuel and trying to use less on the straightaways and in the corners and make it a few extra laps. So, as we come around to complete the first half of this race, these guys are very, very aware of what they need to do strategy-wise, as there we go, halfway cross flags for these drivers. It's just interesting that we saw Dolson pit so early. I mean, I figured that would be a sign of things to come, but it's been like 15 laps since then. In fact, it's been 18 laps since he pitted. And here we go. Leaders coming back around. They'll complete this lap and go fighting into turn number 1. Bretton Foster looking to the inside of Ryan Steele.
Gotta stay in line. Try to get some clean air on that nose. Do what you can. See if you can't find a way around.
Decent battle popping up behind these guys. Ray Partridge on the number 68 of Brian McGreevy. Here they are side by side through turn 2. McGreevy gives that spot up. Partridge goes on by. And here comes Lionel Callisto. Now, Lionel Callisto has been a driver I have watched a lot this season. I've kept my eyes on, waiting for that first win because, after Dowd's second win back in the Intimidator at Daytona, I really thought Lionel Callisto was in line to get one himself. It was those two that got to the end of the race on their fuel strategy and went 1-2 in the race. Dowd with the win, Callisto second. Since then, it has been up and down for Lionel, and if we go back to the point standings coming into this race, he has dropped down the order just a bit. 8th place, he's been up and down. I keep waiting for that first entry in the win column. Maybe it comes here tonight. I don't think so. I think he's just a little bit behind the mark. So does he have it maybe in the super late models next up in August? Does he have it maybe in the NASCAR Cup cars or the Gen 3 supercars or the IMSA classes at Road Atlanta? I gotta wonder, when is it going to happen? I feel like he's bound for a win at some point this year. Question is when.
Always when it comes down to something like that, everyone just always asks, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And, sometimes you just got to go out there and you just got to make it happen. You have to be able to try and fight for it. And Callisto's doing a good job right now. He's keeping that car inside the top 10. I mean, he just moved up past Partridge to 8th right there. So that's another spot up. Next car in line would be Dowd, but that's a ways at the racetrack. You've got them coming through turn 2 right now. That's Callisto and Partridge. Dowd, further 2 seconds up. He should be entering turn 3 right about now. See? I know my racetracks and I know my racing distances.
Our top 4 is still under a blanket as we get closer to 60 laps completed in this run. Again, when are these guys going to pit? Here we go. That's the answer. Abate down to the pit lane. He's going to take that whole access road around. And yeah, from here, it'll still be a 2-stop race.
Nice and easy entry into the pit lane. See one more car in the pit
Beltrami.
lane. Yeah.
Nobody else will be coming in just yet. So there's Abate into the pits. Beltrami will leave the pit lane. There he is. Gotta wonder who else is coming in and when as Abate takes service. He should be down, down and away. 10.63 seconds. Here comes Robert Nash.
Nice and easy roll into the box here. Up on the jack, 4 tires. Gonna wait on gas, and he is out of the way in 11:03. Not a terrible stop as the rest of the leaders are coming in now.
Ryan Steele stayed out, but Foster, Challoner, McGreevy, they all come in. Hutchison, Dowd, and so many more. I wonder, when does Ryan Steele come in? There he is. He's going to come down to the pit lane now as well. Nice and easy, nice and slow down here through the access road. You can see a couple of cars have already gone wide in the grass. And there we go, down to pit speed. Our race leader comes in for service. And I'll be honest, Zach, one thing that shot shows, we can even take the ticker down for a second, look at that American flag. It is pointed straight across the racetrack, backstretch to front stretch. I'm surprised that has not impacted the handling of these cars more in the corners, because that means they're getting a headwind in the center of 1 and 2 and a tailwind in the center of 3 and 4. That could even impact when these guys come in to make these pit stops, right? I mean, that's sketchy stuff. So as Ryan Steele will work back onto the racetrack here, Abate is trying to come back by him real quick. And I think Abate will do exactly that. There he is, yes. He will go by Ryan Steele, as does Brenton Foster, as does Christian Challoner, and so too Well, actually, no, that'll be it. So Ryan Steele will blend into the 4th position. Chris Willard will come down for service in car 32. That leaves Scott Kennedy, the lone driver out front, yet to pit. As Willard comes in, Bryce Roberts also due in. Scott Kukas is due in. There they are. And here comes Scott Kennedy.
Just shows you the benefits of pitting in a group, Andrew. Staying together and keeping that mutual draft. It's such a big thing. The tow in these cars is exceptionally powerful. There is so much done to Formula-style race cars, to Indy-style race cars, to make them through there.
Crashing on the pit lane.
Goodness.
Scott Kennedy, he stayed out as long as he could. He's just been in the pits, and he's going to try and drive back around the racetrack here, Zach, to get back to the pit lane. I don't like this.
Well, he can't back up. He'd get disqualified. If he backs up in the pit lane, it's a black flag.
Yeah, but he could have towed. I'm scared, and it looks like he's got an idea of how to handle it. But if he's not careful, he can blow turn 3 and go up on the racetrack and cause a bigger issue. So I'm just a little bit concerned here.
He's being safe. He is being safe. He's staying below the white line. He's staying off the racing surface. And he's going to bring it back down, get that car fixed, hopefully, and get himself back out on the racetrack. That is a huge blow right there, Andrew. Not something you see every day. Oh man, it's heartbreaking.
He did do a fine job of maintaining that issue once it happened and not letting it become worse. But here we go for the race lead. Brenton Foster on the back end of Christian Abate. Down nearly to 80 laps to go. These two going to do some battle. And this, of course, now looks like it has the makings of a green flag race. But a caution at any point in time would throw a massive wrench in the mix. Here we go, side by side for the race lead.
I thought they were going to pinch each other down the bottom line there for a second. That was close. Going through 1 and 2. Lap cars up ahead. Going to try to get a tow. See if they can't use it to their advantage and pull themselves around one another.
Abate nearly to the outside wall. Foster goes by with ease. So pass made for the race lead. Brenton Foster finally breaks on 3.
I won't lie to you, Andrew. I thought I heard a slight contact with the wall from Abate, but it looks like he is still clean and green.
And Ryan Steele is the oddity now. He has fallen back here nearly to Robert Nash. Of course, he waited a bit longer to make his pit stop, so that's part of it, Zach, but he has not been able to recover yet as he nearly got wiped out there by the 21 of... oh gosh, I'm trying to recall the name now. I'm looking through my time and scoring. Bryce Roberts, that's right. Robert Nash, the red and white car.
That was a great catch.
It was. It could have been a bigger mess in a hurry. The red and white car here is Robert Nash. He'll go by in the 5th spot. Goes by these couple of lap cars. Looks like it's the 122 as well. And that is going to be Joseph Homan. Austin O'Neill and Josh Mertz, by the way, are fighting currently for the 1st spot, 1 lap down. Unfortunately for them, Zach, no free passes, even under caution. There will be some wave arounds, but no lucky dogs, no free passes. That 1st spot, 1 lap down, doesn't matter too much.
I wish it did. I've gotten so accustomed to stock car racing-esque rules, and I see all these guys laps down. I'm like, they'll just get their laps back. It's not a big deal. Their race isn't over. And I mean, while their race is not over, it's very much going a little bit further down the rabbit hole. You know, we've only got 12 cars on the lead lap, so this could paint different characteristics. I mean, it really actually does. I mean, no paraphrasing here, it does, because it's a different style of oval racing. You know, there's different styles of road racing, there's different styles of oval racing, and, you know, when you take the iRacing.com sim, which is honestly just kind of based off of a road racing rule set to begin with, it doesn't exactly work in your favor when you move over to a different discipline.
Continuing to ride on board with Lionel Callisto, he is chasing his teammate Nathan Dowd, and I wonder, Zach, you know, how much are they chasing? How much are they working together right now, trying to get in line and drive away from others like Ray Partridge, who's just behind? and trying to catch up to others up the racetrack. I have to wonder how much they want to work together, how much they want to race each other. The 7 and the 2 being teammates.
If they're smart, they'll work together. And they'll stay the way they are right now, just so they can get that track position back.
And listen to these gaps around the racetrack as well, because you can see it on the left side on the ticker. 0.6 of a second to second, 1 second to third, 2.9 seconds to fourth, 3.6 seconds to fifth, and then here we go, 14 seconds back to 6th, 7th, and 8th, 17, nearly 18 seconds to 9th, 18 seconds to 10th, 19 seconds back to 11th, and 19 seconds as well, back to 12th place. And you mentioned it, Zach, only 12 cars left on the lead lap, the final of which currently is Bob Beltrami himself. He is just clinging to the lead lap right now. Josh Mertz, the first car 1 lap down, there he is. He's just been passed by Ryan Steele.
Really close run up the racetrack right there by Robert Steele. I don't know, Andrew. That's one of the big things that scares me about open wheel racing on ovals sometimes, is that when you play the game of self-clear, it's always a bad run of the show when someone ends up getting taken out. But I feel like it's just so much more amplified in cars like these, and it can make for much scarier incidents, in my opinion. But take a look further up front.
This is second and third, Christian Abate and Christian Challoner, as you mentioned. Yes, these two nose to tail just about, as they got one car on the outside lane. If you're Abate, you've got to squeeze up and get as high up the racetrack as you can, but at the same time, nothing against Justin Byers, but Justin has caused 2 cautions tonight, so how close do you want to get just in case something goes wrong?
Really don't know. I mean,
I actually think
I'll
correct myself. I think Justin's only caused 1 caution. I think the other incident that I'm thinking of went no caution for his restart mishap there earlier in the race. But regardless, these 2 leaders get by Justin Byers, and now nearly 70 laps to go. They can do some fighting once more.
Talk about fighting, but they're mostly single file up the racetrack.
Oh, wow.
Steele. That's a little bit of a brush to the wall. Might have some side pod damage from that one.
That was that lap car.
Easy to bend those tires in.
Yeah, that was that lap car, the 704 of Justin Byers.
Oh my goodness. No, Steele's right behind the 704. I'm sorry, they're both red, black, and white. It threw me off for a moment.
So there you have a look at the 704 machine. Matt Wagner has just been passed up. Here he is down to turn 3. He gets passed up by Brian McGreevy. This is for 9th position. I love these onboards on Indy cars, man. Such cool looks around the racetrack with these cameras.
I love these Indy cars. These things are powerful, and you know, I'm gonna say it again. I've said it multiple times. I hate that IndyCar kind of abandoned this style of chassis and went more towards the DW12 and now the IR18 as of late. This particular style of chassis, I feel like, put on some great racing. I feel like it's extremely aesthetically pleasing for the look of a race car, and you know, it doesn't have the certain safety characteristics like the aero screen or the halo, but I still really feel like this is a great time period for IndyCar racing.
I definitely am inclined to agree. I think this is kind of part of a bygone era that was really good in IndyCar racing. Of course, it was just on the back end of the IndyCar and kart debacles, if you will. And I'm glad we have this car on the iRacing service. No matter your feelings about this car or that car, I'm glad we have this car to be able to be used here on iRacing. It gives us a chance to run these sorts of races. And, if we look at the schedule as a whole this season, this is not the first time we're doing something like this, running an older style car in hopes of having kind of an older style race. Look at round 2 and 4. The NASCAR 1987 Cup cars in the Intimidator at Daytona. That was our first big look at older cars, and boy, that was going as far back as you can here on iRacing just about. Back to 1987, reliving those cars a little bit. And then a couple of rounds later in the NASCAR Gen 4, of course that was before the update with the Monte Carlo and the Taurus, but the NASCAR Gen 4 car in the World 600 was another great example. So really good looks. These 3 kind of throwback races across the board here in the Major Series.
And speaking of throwback style races, when the Major Series rolls back around going into next year, if they want to continue hitting on these major marquee events that they're doing, and this is not the first league that we've seen try this style either. We've seen this Era Series do this as well. They're hitting on a lot of the late model events this year. They do a lot of the big name late model stock car events, a lot of the big name super late model events on the iRacing.com sim. So I would think that if the Major Series wants to continue hitting that style, let's branch out a little bit. Let's take the Lotus 49 or the Lotus 79 out for a spin. Do an old-fashioned style Grand Prix at a legacy style track like the old Monza. That would be really cool.
We're on board currently with Lionel Callisto right behind Nathan Dowd. We'll stay here for a moment. It's interesting you mentioned that, Zach, because there has been some conversation, and of course it's unofficial conversation, it's just conversation that we see, but some conversation nonetheless about running Lotus 49s at Indianapolis next year for the Speedway 500.
That would be cool.
It was all driver conversation, so very little to it, but boy, would that be a very, very fun round here in the Major Series. Don Dolson headed back to save...
Into the inside.
Joseph Homan.
Just out of camera shot. There's the caution.
That may save Don Dolson. No, actually, it's going to force him to pit, it looks like.
It's a closed. That's going to be a black flag. I'm sure he's going to roll through the pits, though.
Well, I wonder, because would it count as unsafe pit exit if he had bailed? Because
did he bail? No, he did not.
Because
I'm not seeing a black flag on my race control.
He committed to the access road before the crash. So here he is committing to the access road. Right here, I'd say, is the line. Homan is still running as normal. So I wonder, I think Dolson's going to be okay, but this is Joseph Homan down the backstretch, tapping the outside wall and then careening down low into the inside wall. This is not the first problem we've seen for Dolson, or for Homan here today.
Just as we were cutting in, really, the storyline kind of unfolded itself. Just as we were cutting in to see cars entering the pit lane, that's where he hit. Then the caution comes out. Storylines aplenty, Andrew, all over the place. Oh my goodness.
He just tracked out too far.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Like you said, Homan's had problems already. It's been a rough day for him, but now we see cars into the pit lane. Now, Andrew, this is the one thing we have to keep in mind. How does this affect the remainder of their race? Can they save enough fuel to run out the rest of the laps?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man. Now I really wish I had just noticed a little more, paid a little more attention to just how far these guys went on a tank earlier. This is going to be right on the edge, I feel like, and if we get a caution, or if we get any extended laps here, now there's no live race control, I believe, for this round. But, man, if anything holds up this yellow, I'd imagine we see a lot of cars come back down. We might see a lot of cars come back down anyways, just to top up on gas to be good to the end. Well, while we await the restart, let's take a look at what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV. Next up, Zach, we head to the Auto Club Speedway on Wednesday, July 23rd. Now, that's not the only thing going on this week. I invite you all to tune in on Tuesday on Flow Racing to the Cookout Summer Shootout. Zach, I know you wish you could be there. We'll talk more about that later, maybe, but there will still be legend cars at Charlotte Motor Speedway on Tuesday. I'll be there commanding the broadcast. And then Wednesday, it's right to the Auto Club Speedway here virtually on Pit Stop TV with the Luke's Playhouse 200, benefiting Luke's Playhouse Wellness Center and Gym, pioneered by Luke Rainwater in Lincoln, North Carolina. That event is a feel-good style event. Should be a lot of fun here on the iRacing.com sim. And then Thursday, it's the North American Racing League as they head out to Sebring International Raceway. And then Friday, I'm headed right up to Anderson, Indiana for the Redbud 400. That'll be on Track TV. Then next Thursday...
The what?
The Redbud 400, ASA Racing, man. Super late models at Anderson Speedway. That'll be Saturday on Track TV. Then next Thursday... It'll be Circuit Gilles Villeneuve with the GT3 cars of the North American Racing League headed to Canada. But for now, green flag is back in the air. We are racing once again at Homestead Miami Speedway. Side by side, Robert Nash, Ryan Steele. Back up to 16 cars on the lead lap as we work down the back straightaway. Nathan Dowd right behind a side-by-side. That's actually the 32 who was a lap down. That's Chris Willard. And the 5 of Austin O'Neill. O'Neill is down in 17th spot. And the 32 of Willard is down in 22nd. Willard is 2 laps down. O'Neill just the 1.
Seems like we got a number of cars back on the lead lap as well. 16 on the lead lap. The fight back up front. Foster, Abate, Challoner, Nash, Steele, Callisto, Dowd, Partridge, Wagner, and McGreevy. Your top 10. 65 laps to go. Next time by the flag stand, Andrew. You see just how much they're spreading out. The top 3 walking away from the other 2 in the top 5. The rest of them walking away from Callisto in the 6th spot. A separation by almost a full second, actually. These guys have just been on top of it. Their race strategy has been on point, but I still really want to know how the fuel saving is going to go for these guys, especially when someone like Wagner here is running in the 5th gear. He's using more RPMs. He's using more engine power. He's burning more fuel. I don't know if I can agree with that right now.
Well, here's the thing to consider, Zach. Usually these cars top out around 10.3, meaning 10,300 RPMs. So he's got a little bit of room there to go. So his setup could be tuned to run a little bit lower RPM in 5th gear to save a little bit of fuel versus some setups that would run a higher RPM. You could, theoretically, depending on your gear stack, run a higher RPM in 6th gear at race speed than you would in 5th gear on some of these setups. So, yes, it looks like he's using more fuel in 5th, but depending on his actual gear stack, he might not be. Brian Barnes in the top 10, he runs in 10th, right behind Nathan Dowd. Here they go, side by side, down the back straightaway into turn 3. Barnes makes the pass, Dowd falls back to 10th. And this is about as far down the order we have seen Nathan Dowd in any race this season, Zach. Look at this. Started 2nd down to 10th place so far. They had great qualifying pace at Sector 5, but, oh man, they are missing the mark, I feel like, when it comes to the race. They do have Lyle Callisto in 6th. Nathan Dowd here in 7th. Matt Wagner in 11th, but they were doing a whole lot better just a little while ago.
It's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
And Matt Wagner's actually just been passed up by Bob Beltrami. Here they go down the back straightaway side by side. Beltrami on the outside, Wagner down low. Into turn 3, this is for 11th. Wagner's going to get the spot away. Right behind them, Joshua Mertz. Back on the lead lap after his crash with Daniel B. Johnson. Good to see Mertz recovering. Here's the onboard with him.
up to the 14th spot, running in that middle lane, trying to find any clean air he can.
Oh no, Josh Mertz again! Oh my goodness, and he's gonna be done.
He hit right at the crossover gate. Oh no. The sound of silence before the tragedy of impact. Oh my goodness.
Well, we'll take a look back and see what just happened to Josh Mertz.
I think it's the same thing as the last incident. I think he just trekked too far out. Oh? I don't know.
I would definitely argue he held his line. And it's the 704 in this case of Justin Byers that comes down the racetrack. Here's a good look. Yeah, Byers came down. He was trying to follow the cars ahead of him, but he came down into Josh Mertz. And I want to clarify. I didn't realize there would be two Josh Mertzes in sim racing like this, but apparently, Zach, there are. This is not the Josh Mertz I thought it was. And I've been humbled a little bit, for sure. But I'm going to shout out Josh Mertz anyways that runs in this event. And so I'm going to shout them both out as we see one more look at the careening number 23 machine. Mertz gets back to the garage area by tow. And interestingly, Zach, much of the field has stayed out here. They must feel like they're good on fuel or they're waiting on a better time to pit. Regardless, a shout out to both Josh Mertzes in this case because they're both fantastic people. The Josh Mertz I was thinking of runs the NASA Rallycross Championship that runs on the weekends throughout the year. And it's about as high as you can go in terms of league racing in rallycross standards. And, you know, on that tangent, Zach, I'm just going to put this out there to anybody who's listening from the Major Series. I would love to see a rallycross event next year.
Would be fun. That would be really fun.
And I just heard an engine crunch somewhere. I'm afraid it might have been Mertz in the pit lane or maybe Homan left the car running. I'm not sure. But I heard the so distinctive crunch of an engine letting go on iRacing. It's a sound that those of us that have been around long enough on the sim honestly probably hear in our sleep. Look at that, Mike Willett filling me in. Apparently, Rallycross has been done in the Major Series before. We just weren't around for it, Zach. So, man, we missed the mark there. But maybe we can convince Mike to do it again. Would be cool to see. I'm a sucker for anything Rallycross. I really am. It's just so fun. But on hand this evening, we are now inside of 50 laps to go with IndyCars, classic IndyCars here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Look at that train head down to the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. Multiple cars slipping up. Partridge in the wall, car number 8. And it's going to be a big one. Down the front straightaway.
No.
Andy Banfield involved. I think Brian Barnes involved. There he is. He's got no rear wing. This might be the caution the leaders wanted to top up on gas. Just a little bit closer to the end. See it all unfold. Partridge just got loose on the gas. He was not alone, though. Looks like 3 or 4 cars hitting the gas a little too hard here down the front stretch and getting loose. It's been a theme so far tonight. One more look at it. Partridge in that green and blue car hits the outside wall. Everybody then has to jockey around to miss him. Banfield got into Brian Barnes. Oh boy. Watch the number 8 here on board. And he's restarting in second. Carnage. On board Scott Kennedy, he's also involved in this a little bit, I think. Actually, Zach, not a bad miss.
Lucky performance, lucky break of the day nomination?
I'm not inclined to say so just yet, only because it wasn't quite as spectacular as what we saw earlier from Don Dolson. But it's not outside of the realm of possibility. Let's watch this from the drones high above. Oh, you know who did just miss that was Bob Beltrami. Watch this. Watch Beltrami here. Look at that. Just got out of line at the perfect time. Oh, nearly got hit later on, too. One more look from Beltrami's machine. You know what, Zach? I'll nominate this. I don't know that it's the winner of Lucky Break of the Day today, but I'll nominate it. Oh. Whew. And all of this gives these leaders an opportunity to pit. Many have. Bob Beltrami being one of them. He has come down to the service lane for none other than pit service. He took 8.3 seconds in the lane, or in the box rather. Matt Wagner also pitted. Wayne Hutchison also pitted, and it's about 8.1, 8.3 seconds across the board. Brian Bennett pitted, along with Ray Partridge just coming in and now leaving the box. Brian Barnes, although he's one lap down. And this now leaves only 13 cars on the lead lap. This actually took out some lead lap drivers, unfortunately, which is going to tighten things up on everyone. And so, Zach, start thinking about it. Driver of the day is coming up. I thought we had things figured out. All of a sudden, the race has turned on its head.
Well, I said, can't you start picking too early? Things change on a dime. That's racing. That is how it goes. Pace car's going to make that hard left turn, and we're going to get back rolling here, Andrew. 41 laps to go.
Back to the restart zone. Green flag in hand from Barney the Flagman. There it is. Green flag is back out here at Miami. A mega hole shot restart for Brenton Foster. He is down and away in the biggest of ways. Nearly 7/10 of a second as they roll off into turn 3.
Look at that gap. Look at the first battle side by side. Gets clear. Now we're back to single file racing. That was Steele over McGreevy.
It was actually Steele over the lap car of Bryce Roberts. Of course, being these single file restarts, this style of restart can line cars up with lap down cars in the mix of the leaders. So we will see that, I think, become a problem as this race goes on, because there's so many lap down cars, they can be anywhere in the pacing queue. I think we're going to see that become more and more of an issue as the race goes on. Watching here, Wayne Hutchison, Bob Beltrami, Matt Wagner. Great battle, 8th, 9th, and 10th. As two cars come out of the pit lane. Chris Willard is one of them. Eric Staropoli the other, and they sort that out pretty quick. I also feel like, Zach, I don't know how this is going to apply to today's race. I know it's nearly over at this point, but, you know, something I noticed while driving this car on a road course earlier, the older tire model, it felt like going back to new tires was actually beneficial. There was grip right away. So, will we see that translate to the oval here at Homestead? Will new tires be that much of a big deal? Because I was at Portland, so I don't know if it's going to cross over to Homestead, but I took, you know, 5-6 laps, just kind of getting my bearings, and then I pitted, and I could turn so much better than I could even the lap prior. Only 6 or so laps in on one set of tires going like 80-90%. I went back on a new set of tires and had all the grip in the world, it felt like, so I could actually turn the car without having to put as much wheel into it. Is that going to be a thing for these guys on the oval as we hit 35 laps to go this next time by?
I don't even know what to really say at the moment with how this race has turned out.
I know what to say. I can say Lionel Callisto here, working on Brian McGreevy. This will be for 6th position. They bring, it's a lap car actually right behind them. It might be the 88. I can't quite tell. That's the 4 actually, Brian Barnes. Barnes has gone 1 lap down. But this is one of the closest fights on the racetrack between Callisto and McGreevy. Here we go, side by side, down the backstretch.
Side by side to the inside, Callisto just trying to get the advantage. Falls back in line, takes another look down to the inside, 1 and 2. McGreevy just holding ground. Back to single file.
Love that look way down low on the racetrack through 3 and 4. Back across the stripe. Look at Wayne Hutchison closing in. He's in that 17 car right behind those two. And I will say, Zach, one more nice little comment on the nostalgic conversation around this race car. This looks like an Indy car. The DW12, I feel like, doesn't look like an Indy car as much. It looks like some kind of other formula car. The IR18, take it or leave it. But this particular chassis, the IR05, to me looks like an Indy car. Embodies what it is to be an Indy car. It's unmistakable. And boy, does it look good here with 31 laps to go. Majors, you made a great choice. Look at this battle for the 6th position. Hutchison down to the inside.
Side by side once again. Oh, look at McGreevy just up the racetrack, taking all the air off of Callisto. Hutchinson with no run.
Down the backstretch now. Side by side. 7th and 8th. Hutchison trying to make the advance on Callisto there. And we can't get too far away from the leaders. There they are down the front straightaway. 5 cars in line. Just riding around right now, biding their time, waiting for the right moment to strike. Foster, Abate, Challenger, Nash, and Steele. It's rare that you see a 5-car train like this, but here they are.
This has just been an absolute great race so far. They've put on one heck of a show. The question still remains though, Andrew. Where's the fuel number? Where do we see these guys being able to save the fuel and make it to the end?
Well, Zach, It does seem that Eric Staropoli has called it a day. He has just parked the car. Meanwhile, Wayne Hutchison, Brian McGreevy, they do battle back here. Hutchison getting the spot. McGreevy falls back. That's for 6th. McGreevy now looks back to the inside.
Big send to the inside. He's going to get sucked around. Callisto's going to try to close that hole. Squeeze up. Oh, my goodness. Beltrami now coming into play. Callisto back down to the bottom. This is getting dicey.
McGreevy's getting aggressive. 25 laps to go, though, Zach. We're going to watch this battle as we talk about the driver of the day conversation. We got to. We are right down to that point. We can't go much further. 8th of the race left to go, Zach. Who's it going to be?
I just don't know.
Well, I can go ahead and go for you if you like. Or at least go first.
Yeah, maybe you should go first this time.
Easy. Christian Abate and Ryan Steele. The positions they've gained, and they have maintained their positions. It's hard to look beyond them. I know Christian Challoner and Brenton Foster have been fantastic as well. But I cannot look past the 16 positions gained by Christian Abate here to get up into the sixth spot. And Ryan Steele up 19 spots, up to 5th. And he's led 31 laps. He's led a decent chunk of this race. I can't look past those two.
I'm going to take a shot out of left field. And I'm going to go with Hutchinson as my first pick. He's picked up 17 positions into the 6th spot. And he's doing well towards the end of the race. And then I don't know. Tell me your 2 picks again, Andrew.
Abate and Steele.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with Foster for my second pick then. He's leading the race right now. He's got a good handle on things. He's got to be a solid pick right now.
It's interesting, and I'm glad E-Danger21 mentioned it. Robert Nash is also up 13 spots. Hutchison's up 17. I mean, those are great calls too. McGreevy even up 15. Beltrami up 11. But I can't disagree with Brenton Foster. He's also led a bunch of laps so far today. 63 laps led for that number 11. Not a bad pick at all. We can't just pick the hard chargers, you know? So that poll is now live over on YouTube. You can vote for your driver of the day. Brenton Foster, Christian Abate, Ryan Steele, Wayne Hutchison. Your 4 options. If we could do more than 4, we would. Well, those are your 4 options for driver of the day today here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Let's get back down to it, Zach. 20 laps to go, now 19 past the speed shot this time by. And they're starting to look racy up front.
Still single file for the most part between the top 5. Lap car in the way. Wait to see if they'll move down. Staying high is the word from race control. Oh, from the race radios that I'm listening in on. And they all get a little bit split around. It's going to shake things up a little bit. Still single file though, Andrew. I mean, the laps keep ticking down. There's not much time left to make a move.
Nose to tail, your top 5. While we have a chance here before it gets too hectic, want to give a thank you to our partners. Just as I say that, Christian Abate goes to the outside of Brenton Foster so quickly. Thank you to Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody, Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League, and of course, to Major's Garage. As I say that, lead change. Christian Abate to the front, but maybe not for long. Brenton Foster back around the outside. And here comes Robert Nash.
is going to be dicey. Are they going to get 3 wide here, Andrew? They're going to get 3 wide for third.
3 wide maybe for third spot. Abate falls back. Make it 3 for second. And Ryan Steele, right through the outside lane, goes right on by 2 or 3 cars at once. Fantastic move out of car number 12. He now can focus up on Brenton Foster. I would hate to see Ryan Steele out front of this field alone. I feel like he might drive away. And you know, of these top 5, I believe only two of them have a win in class in a race this season. Those being Robert Nash in class at Daytona in the 2.4 and Christian Challoner in the Speedway 500. The other 3 in this group all going for their very first win of the season. The top 3 winless so far through 2025. They would like to put a 1 in the win column today.
I think the odds of seeing a first-time winner are very, very high right now.
Here we go. Steele to the inside. He gets that nose ahead ever so slightly down the back straightaway. Look how close they are. Maybe wheel-to-wheel contact for a moment.
Steele gets, or tries to get clear at least. Back up top. The run on the outside is just too powerful right now.
That outside lane proving good here at Miami, even in an IndyCar. Of course, when NASCAR comes here, every driver wants to be up top at the end of the race. That's where they can defend from. In an IndyCar, things are primarily a bit different because it's such a much lighter car. It's a different kind of racing, but even here, that top side is proving potent, and Steele got loose. That's going to roll Abate right back by. 11 laps to go at Miami.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. This just keeps getting better and better.
Some more lap traffic these cars have to get by. You see some more even ahead. As Abate now steers around the top side of the racetrack with Brenton Foster right back at his crosshairs. Here comes a run, Zach. Down the front stretch, but a run is blocked. Look at Steele on the inside. Charges right up underneath Foster once again.
I keep getting the feeling that they're just going to end up making contact, that something's going to happen.
Certainly don't want to see contact now. Inside of 10 laps to go. Contact now would likely be the end of these guys' race as one car dives out of the way. Down the front straightaway. That's a 7-Eleven machine. Here comes Christian Challoner on the inside of Christian Abate. Could Challoner charge back to the front? He has bided his time. He has waited very patiently in that yellow number 1.
Oh, that was close right there going into turn number 3. Easily could have come across the nose right there.
In case you missed it, Ryan Steele has gone to the front. So he has completed his charge back to first place once again. That puts Brenton Foster now right in the mirrors of Ryan Steele. Callisto is closing in, Zach. It is not all game over yet for Lionel Callisto or Wayne Hutchison. Look at these two slowly closing in on the race leaders. Could they get there in these next 7 laps of racing? Could Callisto or Hutchison upset these 5?
Seven to go. 7 laps, 14 turns. Well, no, not 14, 7, 14, 21, 28 turns. Oh my goodness. Look at the big run Abate's got up on the top line right against the wall. He's trying to make some ground up there.
Yeah, Abate keeps scaring me. I keep thinking he's going to hit the wall in turn 4, but he wraps around perfectly every time. Look at that. Brenton Foster deep to the inside of turns 1 and 2, looking for something down there, couldn't find it. This next time by, it'll be 5 laps to go. This has been an instant classic in the Major Series. I want to see more of this next year. I don't know when they make their schedule. I don't know when they make those decisions, but this has been amazing. Here we go, 3 wide for second place. Challoner down to the inside. He's going to make a charge here late.
Side by side, this is just allowing Steele to walk away. If I was him, I'd go all the way down to the white, break that toe, Do not let these guys get any sort of advantage over you at the moment. Just running side by side the entire time is going to slow their pace down. Look at that. They're actually bringing in a couple other guys from a little bit further back. We see some other... those are not lap cars behind them, are they?
Those are Lionel Callisto and Wayne Hutchison closing in right behind, and they are now within a second. In fact, they're almost alongside of Robert Nash and Brenton Foster. They have closed in 3 wide. Abate Lewis on the top side. 3 laps to go here at Miami. And Steele is breaking away 4 tenths ahead. Nash caught in the middle. And there's Callisto. He has caught up.
I see why he keeps scaring you up there on the top. Oh my goodness. That was a great catch.
Here we go. Coming around to 2 laps to go. Ryan Steele with the advantage. Can Christian Challenger get there? He's already done it once this year in an IndyCar. That was back in the Speedway 500 a couple of months ago at Indianapolis. Now, he's got 2 tenths to make up to Ryan Steele here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Dancing down the backstretch. White flag in the air from Barney the Flagman one more time around the Homestead Miami Speedway. Brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. Final mile and a half for these drivers on their journey throughout today. A tenth of a second between these two down the back straightaway. Christian Challenger going to take one big swing. Can he get there down in 3 and 4? Dives to the inside. Oh, so close. But out of turn number 4, Ryan Steele goes to victory lane in the Major Series for the first time in 2025.
What a run to the checkered. What an absolute amazing job by these guys. Abate and Callisto had a great run to the line as well. They pretty much almost had a photo finish right there. Actually, they just about did.
I think this is the first time this season, Zach, that Nathan Dowd will finish 1 lap down. He's already escaped. This might be the first time we don't talk to him at all. And no burnout here from Ryan Steele. He will bring it right down the pit lane, cool, calm, and collected. What an effort. What an effort. If that is not a case for driver of the day, I don't know what is. Started 24th, charged through the front, finishes first. There's 3 votes placed so far on YouTube. We can do better than that. Make your votes now for who you feel should be today's driver of the day. I know my pick would be this guy right here. I don't completely disagree with Wags, though. Driver of the day being Lionel Callisto would not be a bad pick either, considering what he went through and the fact that he got there right at the end. But I cannot look past the 23 positions gained. Or I guess 23 cars passed. Is it 24 spots gained? I don't know how that works. But regardless, from 24th to 1st for Ryan Steele. That is incredible. 41 laps led. Led the most important one there at the end as well. And he takes the slow reverse victory lap, the Polish victory lap, made popular by Alan Kulwicki on the NASCAR circuit. Well, Zach will let him complete his victory lap and then take a look back at the unofficial race results from this evening. We'll, of course, then go through our top 3 driver interviews, and then that driver of the day vote will be complete. So, a little bit of time left. You can still make your vote. And Ryan Steele, no victory burnout. Is he going to try to drive to victory lane? No, he will not. So, we'll take a look back at the unofficial race results when it's all said and done here at Homestead Miami Speedway. What a day it was. Finishing first, of course, Ryan Steele in car number 12. Started 24th today, all the way to first place over Christian Challoner and Christian Abate. Lionel Callisto from a spin at the start to 4th place at the end. Robert Nash 5th. Brenton Foster falls down to 6th position despite being in the 1st position with about 10 laps to go and everything broke loose. Wayne Hutcherson nearly got there. He finishes 7th. Matt Wagner from pole position today to 8th position. Brian McGreevy 9th. And Bob Beltrami, Zach, he hangs on for 10th place.
Definitely an amazing comeback for Bob Beltrami right there. Rolling on down through the rest of the field, though. Trey Partridge comes home in the 11th spot. Brian Bennett right behind him in the 12th spot. First car one lap down is going to go to Scott Kennedy in that number 88 in the 13th position. Brian Barnes ends up one lap down as well in 14th. Nathan Dowd, like you said, was running up front, and now he brings it home to the 15th position, one lap down. Justin Byers ends up 16th. Austin O'Neill ends up 17th, and then 2 laps down, you'll find Daniel B. Johnson, Stephen Paulsine, and Andy Banfield in 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Finishing 21st, it'll be Scott Kukas in the 242. He just made the cut today by 1/1000th of a second. Finishes 21st when it's all said and done, though. Chris Willard, he had great promise early in the race, but quickly fell back. Don Dolson, I'm still going to mark him as today's recipient of the Lucky Break of the Day award, considering the crash he missed earlier in the day. Bryce Roberts, 24th. Damian Colty in 25th. Shane Vickery got taken out early, hung on as long as he could to 26th spot. Eric Staropoli had an early exit in 27th. The other Josh Mertz, as we found out, Joshua Mertz will finish 28th. Joseph Homan 29th. And Joseph's already clamoring for more IndyCar and ovals in the Discord chat. I won't disagree with William Fletcher there in the 30th spot. Let's bring in our race winner this evening, Ryan Steele, from 24th on the grid to 1st. We'll start there. At the very beginning of the race, how daunting was it, Ryan, to grid up and see yourself in 24th position?
Oh man, like I had no idea what was going to happen this race. Like with how hard it is to find a setup here, and even just trying to practice, I had no idea if a car was fast or not. I'm just kind of guessing. In practice, I actually kind of felt slow. I made some adjustments, and then Wayne handed me a new setup. Yeah, go try this. And I'm like, oh, this feels fast. But I don't know. Didn't really know until the race, and all of a sudden I'm going toward the front. I'm like, oh, we're Holland.
Holland for sure. Again, from 24th to the front. And it didn't take long for you to get there either. You and Christian Abate both charged through the field. How hair-raising is that to make all those slices and dices to get by those guys?
Well, thankfully, at least at the beginning part of the race, everyone was being, I would say, fairly cautious. And so the passes weren't that difficult. Like I wasn't getting challenged super hard. People were just kind of lifting and letting me go. So now getting up to the field wasn't too hairy, except for the few instances where I had to force it, where I'm like, this guy isn't going to let me by. I'm going to get to his outside, and hopefully he doesn't crash me. Those are the hairy moments, but yeah, that's about it.
And of course,
every restart was terrifying. I did not have enough restart practice because, of course, you can't race this car normally. So I was being super, super, super cautious on the throttle because I did not want to be one of those many guys who launched themselves on the front stretch. So I kept on getting beat on restarts, but I was happy to get beat because I was not going to wreck my car.
Fair enough. Over to the standings conversation, of course, coming into today, you're 11th in the driver's standings, so maybe a little far out of it to still charge for the driver championship, but then we can flip over to the team championship, and there's 3 dog bear delineations here in the top 12. Which one are you with?
I think we went with Bark, that's the name, I think.
Dog bear Bark, that would do it then in 4th place. So is there like a conscientious effort from you guys to try and get up there in the team championship and still get all that you can?
It might be a little bit wrong to say that we don't take the points that seriously, but we just kind of fill our team with the people who are committed to running the whole season. We put them in one team, And then the people who are sportsmen, they might be in another. The people who might run part-time, they might be in a different one. We don't put a super lot of thought into it. We just kind of fill it out, and then we worried about running individual races rather than necessarily the championship. I think it'd be the right way to put it. We're just that team that keeps on showing up every week, no matter what it is, whether it's an unpopular combination or it's a popular one, and we're going to run the race every time. We won the championship last season probably just because of that. So hopefully we can repeat that.
Fair enough. Good to talk to you for the first time this season, Ryan. Congratulations getting the win here at Miami. We'll be watching for more of you later on this season.
Yep. Hopefully on the remaining oval rounds, I'll be pretty good. I'm trash on the roadside, unfortunately. So as good as I am here is as bad as I am on road. So I'm not in the mention for driver championship at all, but I always go for whatever I can.
Fair enough. Ryan Steele with a big win here at Miami. Congratulations once again, Ryan. We'll move on down to Zach Murtis, who has got Christian Abate from third place.
Absolutely. Christian Abate had a bit of a run coming to the line there with Lionel Callisto, but still brought it home for an exceptionally good finish in that third spot. You were running up towards the wall. You were having a blast up there. How exactly did that go, man? We kept thinking that you were going to end up hitting the wall.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen there at all either through that time. I just knew, for me, the high line towards the end was definitely the place to be, at least to be the most offensive. But I saw Lionel coming through, and he must have had fresher tires shortly, but with that amount of grip at the end. But regardless, still glad we were able to hang on and keep it going. So able to take away a third place there.
Absolutely. And, we were commenting a lot on, just the grip levels and the fuel mileage that you guys were having to deal with. I mean, at all, did you think that with how the race was going, do you think maybe staying out on old tires at one point or just taking less fuel at one point was going to make the car any different or any better at some point? Maybe just give you a little bit more of an edge? Or do you think that the strategy you had was enough to get you to where you need to be and maybe could have gotten you that win?
We probably could have hit for tires if the caution was a little bit later than what it was. I mean, at that point, myself and my other three teammates, we all pretty much knew we had a good setup to be running out front. I mean, it was pretty demanding at some points in the race. Ryan did a great job to keep up with us and give a good challenge. So, and congrats to him as well for eking out the win tonight. But we just, at the time of the last pit stop, we felt really strong of where our car was, and we figured we would much rather take the track position than try to have to fight through everyone and then, still try and make up the ground to really any of us or whoever would have been out in front at that time. So.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your third place finish here tonight. Hopefully we'll be able to see you do maybe 2 spots better in the next round of the Major Series.
Yeah, that would be great.
That was Christian Abate, the third place finisher on the day, Andrew. And I mean, it was a really, really solid race for just about everybody. The whole field, I mean, struggles and woes throughout the field, but I think it still turned out really, really well for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I think it was a good race overall. Homestead Miami Speedway never disappoints. It's always a good time here on the iRacing.com service or in real life. And there's already more calls for more IndyCar racing on ovals here in the Major Series. I would welcome it, personally. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this blast from the past with this particular car as well. They still have all the same anti-roll bar adjustments, weight jacker and all of that. It's just an older car, older tire models, and boy, was it a lot of fun here at Miami. But next up for these guys, we go to the World Series of Asphalt. That'll be in August with the super late model here in the Americas region. While the track was different this round across the regions, every region is headed to New Smyrna Speedway next month, but with different cars. I believe it's the mini stock for International, I think possibly the street stock for Euro, and then it's the super late model for us with the Americas region. Gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, we cover super late model racing all the time with the Sim Auto Racing Association, so it's right in our wheelhouse. That will be probably the most at home for us all season long, Zach. That and the NASCAR races, so it'll be a lot of fun to have the World Series of Asphalt from New Smyrna Speedway, at least the majors version of it here next month in August. But I told you we would solidify the vote after driver interviews, and we sure did. Ryan Steele is today's driver of the day. I can't say I'm surprised, Zach. I'm glad I put him on the ballot, because up 23 spots like that, I don't know how you do that. I'm glad we talked to him. Glad he was able to join the interview booth and have a word with us, because it sounds like he doesn't think he'll be back up here very much, but he's going to give it his all on the road, or on the oval races rather. The road races might be a little bit out to lunch, but a fantastic effort for sure from Ryan Steele. That said, Zach, we can take a look at what's upcoming. I'm hitting all the wrong buttons right now. It's been a long day. Hang on. That's the button I need to hit. Then this button. This is what's upcoming for us, Zach. I am looking forward to Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a really, really good event. I know you helped out with it before, and I think it's going to be really awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming up next year at Pit Stop TV, and yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of great racing up on the docket.
Yeah, so the Luke's Playhouse Wellness Center in Gym 200 is put on by Noah Rainwater, which is Luke Rainwater's brother. And Luke was born with spina bifida. He has used aqua therapy to help him with his muscle tone and everything, to keep him active throughout his life. And Luke's Playhouse is basically a center for that, for kids who need that, a little bit of help to stay active in their lives, and use it for therapy to build muscle tone, what have you. So any way they can benefit possibly from Luke's Playhouse, that's what they're there for. And we'll be racing on Wednesday in benefit of Luke's Playhouse there in Lincolnton, North Carolina. That's Lincolnton, Lincolnton, just like Abraham Lincoln's last name. Lincolnton, North Carolina. Please do look into Luke's Playhouse. At least give them a visit on Facebook, that kind of thing, because they are doing some really cool work over there in Lincolnton, North Carolina, and I'm glad that we have their event coming up this week here on Pit Stop TV. From there, a couple of GT3 races to finish out the month with the North American Racing League. First at Sebring, then at Montreal. Two great racetracks coming up for those guys. And then, Zach, can you guess what the next track is for them after that? Don't overthink it. Yes, it's Charlotte. It is the Roval. So we'll see GT3 cars at the Roval in August with the North American Racing League. And, of course, I'll be at Charlotte on Tuesday for Cookout Summer Shootout. Wish you could be there, Zach. Hopefully we get you back out there in 2026. Of course, if you weren't aware, and I'm going to give you the floor here in a second, Zach, to illustrate how maybe somebody can help you out with your racing efforts. If you weren't aware, Zach Murtis, our broadcaster here by night, is a race car driver by day, and was involved in a nasty crash with JC Thickensure in the Semi-Pro B Main a few weeks ago, about a month ago now, at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Zach, I know you took on a bit of an injury with that, but if somebody wanted to help you out with your racing endeavors, or at least learn more, where can they do so?
Yeah, I mean, you can always find me on social media at Zach Murtis, all over Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X as it is now, TikTok, YouTube, and, you know, if you want to see a more in-depth version of the crash and see it from different angles, from the Flow Racing broadcast with, you know, used with permission, of course, and seeing it from a fan cam as well, seeing it from my onboard, you can always channel Zachary Murtis and see how it all transpired and how it all happened, and, you know, take it in a little bit. If you don't have a Flow Racing subscription, you really want to see it, it's been posted by Legends Nation. I've been posting it all over social media. So there are ways to take a look at it. And if you want to help me out with my racing endeavors and, you know, somehow, some way help us get back out there on the racetrack, you can always send me a message, email me, murtisracing102@gmail.com. That's MERTESRACING 102@gmail.com. And there's plenty of ways to get involved. We're thinking about trying to do some things coming up here soon, so keep an eye out. Hopefully we'll be able to get things rolling in the right direction.
Once again, this has been the Major Series on Pit Stop TV, the Grand Prix of Miami, race number 7 of 12 points-paying rounds this season. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you all next time. Before we leave for the evening, I want to give a big thank you to our partners, of course, with the series, Major's Garage, a big partner behind this series and providing setups to all these drivers. Also want to give a big thank you to Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody, Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. We will see you all next time here at Pit Stop TV, hopefully on Wednesday for the Luke's Playhouse 200.
Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work, so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Anybody, really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.